Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, Welcome to the Wayfarers Path's bayān, the Wayfarers Majlis, in which we talk about all things related to um, traversing this world, this increasingly complex, increasingly troubled world, while staying um, true to one's deen. Um, True to one's deen, in which one fulfills one's ultimate purpose, which is to get close to Allah. I don't know about you all, but sometimes I do succumb to the temptation of following the news. In fact, of um, the affliction of mobile phone, which is a topic I'll just cover. If I manage to get rid of social media addiction, um, the desire to follow news, which one can call gossip, is uh, still rears its ugly head every now and then within me. And I tend to over-follow news, what's happening in the world. And indeed, it's becoming a increasingly haphazard, chaotic world. And the need to come closer to one's deen is manifesting itself more and more. There's no middle ground in the sense that how a few years or a few decades ago, it was possible to live in the gray zone and get to a successful outcome in one's life, right? The call towards guna, the call towards sin, and not just sin, I'm not just talking about um, it's just in everything, everything that we're doing, everything that we are witnessing, it's calling towards sin. And it comes to the mobile phone again, which is the current gateway towards it, right? So there's no longer any gray area, or the gray area is increasingly reducing, and the difference between what is required, permissible and not permissible, is increasingly falling away. Any middle ground between that. So I was not able to hold the majlis last week, and that was because I was traveling. And I'd like just to talk a bit about that before we go towards covering the topic of this week's bayān, this week's majlis, The World Within, written by Shafi Usmani Sahab. And I say that because traveling, so my Shaykh always told that traveling is a great way to learn about oneself and to teach one's kids and to, and I really see that how to travel, the good and the bad really come to the fore, right? You're outside the creature comforts of your home, uh, and really forced to, so you're really outside the creature comforts of your home, and a lot of, again, good, bad, they come to the fore, right? So last week was Eid, and I decided to travel to my family. They were to my in-laws in Peshawar. My family was over there visiting uh, uh, their nanny. My kids were visiting their nanny. My uh, wife was visiting mother. And so the Eid went, alhamdulillah, really well. Eid increasingly, the more comes, for me, more and more, its significance increasingly dawns on me thanks to the teachings of my Shaykh. The importance of Qurbani, the importance of understanding the sacrifice, of the significance of that day, right? All those elements are really coming to the fore. Thanks to the motivation of my Shaykh, I also kept all of the 9 rosas. And I mention that again because comparing with my previous life, that was something that I would not have even contemplated, right? But listening to one's Shaykh, it really makes it easy. It motivates one to want to do that. So Alhamdulillah, had a very good Eid. First day I spent over here with the Qurbani, did it through someone, distributed the ghost. Alhamdulillah, Allah made, because of good planning, Allah made it very easy to get the meat, grow the film, bring it down, distribute it, give it to select neighbors, fulfill the rights of the neighbors, family members, those who could not afford meat, to give it as a gift to them. Um, so do all of that, visit friends and family. I went out with my mom. We had a great time. It had been a while since we had not been together. So I'm a very blessed Eid, first day. And second day, I traveled out to see my family, as I mentioned, in Peshawar. So I really like traveling. And I like going to Peshawar also. It's a very nice place in the sense that the people over there are much simpler. The life is slower, very less fast-paced, less frenetic. So it's always a good unwinding session over there. So, Alhamdulillah, so like I was mentioning that travel is something that really teaches one a lot. Just I remember last year or so, we went to Kashmir, and Kashmir is a beautiful place. I highly recommend it to everyone. And with my elder son, so the whole family was there, and then we visited like all the riversides and the mountains and a glacier, and it was raining also. And I remember my son, in a moment of like an epiphany, light went off in his head, and he's like, "Mom, I know how water comes out of the tap, you know? It comes from the rain in the mountains and falls down the rivers and it comes into our tap," right? He elaborated a bit more than that. I'm just saying, again, for all the parents out there, for yourself also, but travel, I just want to keep reiterating that. Travel is a great way to build one's bond and to um, understand oneself and to teach one's kids and oneself also. And so some things I really noticed over there, and compared to the mobile phone, this culprit the mobile phone, because it's much easier to fall into the trap. You're not in some, you don't have a schedule, um, you don't have any responsibilities as such. You're staying at somebody else's, and they're taking a lot of care of a lot of things. It's very easy to fall into this trap of the mobile phone, or even laziness in general, right? If you don't have a select schedule. So I noticed myself, there's a lot of news happening, right? International events. There's no shortage of exciting, not exciting, a lot of bad things are happening. It's not exciting, but a lot of events happening that one can just sink into. So I caught myself really sinking into that. So I had to force myself to make activities. I'm saying again because this was a learning for me also, a big learning for me. So what I did was I just went on what are things to do in Peshawar other than eating. Do try Chief Burger if you go. There's an excellent fast food joint. I love it. It's 8% of the reason I go to Peshawar. So do try out that fast food joint. But travel. So I travel, and for the sake of seeing things. So I ended up doing 3-4 things. One was to visit the grave of 22 Shaheed Sahaba Ikram in North Peshawar. I gave lots of people salam over there. People who are joining right now also. And the learning in that was to understand which roads are good and which are not, to recce the area beforehand. So last time I'd gone, and I'd gone through a wrong area within the villages, and it was an okay road. But on the way back, I came back from a main road, and this time I learned that lesson. So I went to the main road. My Google offered me 2 rides, and I took the first one, and I ended up going to like these fields in Peshawar, and there were many nervous moments where I thought I'm going to have to reverse 2 kilometers because the road just has become too narrow. But I've learned that also, right? To plan well and to build on one's learning. So next time I know which road I'm going to take, both going and coming back. Anyhow, so I went over there, went for a whole day. Alhamdulillah, got out. I'm trying to say get out from this mobile phone addiction. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep talking about mobile phone addiction because that's something that I really witnessed on myself also and other people around me. Is this something so grossly pervasive? I had to talk about something else, but this is something I just had to get off my chest and share with you also. So to get myself off the mobile phone, this was the first place I visited. Then the second place, I just took the initiative to go to Torkham border. I remember a colleague and a friend of mine telling me that that she went to Torkham border. So that just was in my head also. So I asked my wife's mamu, who's in the military, if he could arrange it, just at the spur of the moment. And alhamdulillah, just Allah put everything in place, just with some motivation. Got in the car, planned really well, right? So gave a full list of all the people who were going, motivated my sister-in-law, motivated my brother-in-law. Didn't have to motivate them much. They were quite excited. My wife, my kids, so we all just piled into the car. We had like a select time. My brother-in-law was the navigator and the local Pashto speaker. And the car was ready, cleaned up, and on the way we filled up the petrol and got drinks and just went, right? So well prepared, alhamdulillah, and started early and started going to different points. First at Ali Masjid Fort. We're shown around this fort. We're shown about this extremely rich history of this ancient path. I noticed also this session with our colonial former overlords, which is sometimes quite unhealthy. It's part of our history, but sometimes quite unhealthy. Anyhow, like a rich history over there. And it's very interesting to see in that fort, the museum, and of course, the beautiful mountains around. I like dry mountains, the stark mountains, but there's greenery also. So we went over there, and then again, this whole thing about travel, teaching you a lot, taking care of the kids, doing mashwara. So then we had to decide whether to go at Khyber Mess, which is a cantonment in Lambi Kotal, or to go to Mishni Fort, or to go to Torkham border. And through mutual mashwara, myself, my sister-in-law, my wife, my brother-in-law, his wife, we all agreed, let's make a bold towards the Torkham border, and then we'll have enough time to get back Asar and Mishni Fort, and then we can have late tea snacks at Khyber Mess. And I personally, thanks to my teaching of my Shaykh, did it with the niyat ki Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do mashwara, right? Just with that niyat. Alhamdulillah, I'm not confident. I know 100% that was such a blessed, that niyat made the whole the before journey also, but especially this part of the journey onwards, extremely blessed. So we made a bolt towards the Turkmen border, saw the stupa on the way, saw Ayub Afridi's massive fort on the way also. Ayub Afridi was a major smuggler of illicit goods back in the day. Went through that, went past his house, got to the Turkmen border. So interesting, right? To see our neighbors, our brothers and neighbors, Muslim brothers and neighbors of the border over there, very well organized. There was preconceived notions that there'll be dust and broken roads, but that's not the case at all. Very well structured. We were told we could go only thus far. We're like, all right, we made it to Afghanistan, almost Afghanistan, turned back. Alhamdulillah, got back to Mishni Fort. It was beautiful. Like from there, you could see like the whole Turkmen border. And then saw a museum over there. Also sat with my family, my kids were learning so much, right? They were seeing the mountains, and I was like, that's Afghanistan, this is Pakistan. You saw this ancient history, just scattered everywhere. Use these binoculars over there. I showed it to my kid, and he learned about binoculars. So and then we came back, went to the mess. It started raining. My wife had done a dua that, Ya Allah, please, make it rain in an offhand manner. And when it started raining, I was like, just quickly ask for Allah, ask for Allah. Your duas are coming true. So do dua also with the niyat that Allah, you can make it happen, right? You're conversing with Allah. You're conversing with Allah, and Allah will smile, inshallah, and make it happen. And then we came back, right? We got back by 8:39, which we had roughly estimated and calculated. Alhamdulillah, a major learning of travels also, right? We learned so much through this whole journey. And Alhamdulillah, family, very happy. And the people who had lived their whole life in Peshawar, of course, had never been to the Torkham border. So they were really happy also that some outsiders from Karachi themselves took everyone to see a site that they probably would never have seen in their lives, which is true for Karachi walas also. Who should learn from this and visit their local sites. Lots to see over here. And then go to Peshawar Museum, also very interesting. And there was it's a renowned museum for Buddhist artifacts. And there's also like a Islamic history section over there. And we saw Hazrat Sayyid Ahmad Shaheed Barelvi, Rahmatullah's pajama and coat. SubhanAllah, it was a beautiful sight to behold. One of our supreme Buzuर्gs who fought for Islam and for our deen, and to preserve it, and to hand something down, this limitless esteemed treasure, priceless treasure, because of which we have this deen of Islam. So yeah, I because of this mobile phone, I had to thank it in a way. I was forced to come up with all these activities to do with kids, right? Continuing on this mobile phone thing, I witnessed, so again, I'm speaking Bala Hisar Fort. So yeah, I wanted to visit Bala Hisar Fort. I've been to it once already, but again, you need an army connection, and I had used up my army connection points with my wife's mom. But definitely Bala Hisar is also someplace you should definitely visit. It's got a very interesting history. The Duranis, I believe, when they ruled over this the area, they constructed it. One should learn from history also and get their facts straight. I believe that was the history, which I saw at Peshawar Museum, right? So go to these places. Go take your kids, immerse them in culture, immerse them in expanding their understanding, right? Read beforehand rather than just going to the museum straight up, so you have a background, a context. Access secondary sources when you go over there, so that you can make the most of whatever place it is that you visit. And the kids, I mean, they love the stuff, right? So they're like absorbing everything, and whatever they learn over these 5, 6, 7 years, they'll carry it forward for their remaining life, right? So be really active and make them do it. My dad took me a lot for swimming. I love swimming. You can just put me in a pool and I'll keep swimming the whole day. That's because my dad really made an effort to make me swim. So yeah, mobile phone use. Like everywhere I saw mobile phones. Everywhere, and it's come to such a point where people are no longer even denial about addiction, right? They've crossed that stage of denial. Alhamdulillah, I guess. That's the first stage of addiction, the denial, right? So they've gone past that, and they're like, yeah, we are scrolling a lot. And I'm just not just talking about them, I'm talking about myself also, right? All these activities I was forced to do because I was just getting into the mobile phone. I was pretty sick. And in some instances, I saw people giving their kids mobile phone. Just like, here, just take it. Why? So that I can also keep using my mobile phone. So this is a real fitna, a real cancer in our society, and really gives truth to myself, saying that a recent, I think it was a year or two, I heard of it from Shaykh Saad, Shaykh Usmani, that the mobile phone, you should not have it at all. If you need it for your work, fine, otherwise not at all. And I am more and more coming towards that, what seems extreme, but is probably the only correct way of not having a mobile phone. Like, I understand it's unfeasible, but I'm going to seriously think about how to create an environment in which I don't have access to my mobile phone for large extended periods of time, right? So, and it was even driven more starkly by just watching people not just on their mobile phones all the time, So something really think about. Another thing I noticed was lack of knowledge about Sufism. I told some people that I went to Ashab Baba, and I knew there would be some reactions, shirkiya reaction, the reactions about, oh, that's shirk. And it just motivated me to try to understand more and more why visit mazars. So I use that as a learning opportunity. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. And very interestingly, also, I witnessed, or observed, the learning for me also, the intellect versus simple mindedness. People who are simple minded, simple people, not foolish, not stupid, but simple people. Like, yeah, ye sada banda hai, sharif banda hai, sharif bandi hai. It's actually an insult in a way, right? You look down upon them, they're sada, and these intellects or others so days, or what intellectual prowess they have. But there were some people I was talking with, and one was like a very accomplished professional, and the other was like a simple housewife. And we were talking about Sufism. And yeah, this housewife, she started talking about all these words like qurb and hadiya and barzakh. And when I was talking about Ashab Baba, this visit to the shrine of Sahaba Ikram, Shaykh Sahaba Ikram, radhiyallahu anhu. And I was just shocked. It was shameful for me to think like that, a simple person. So as probably as a judgment. But this person, I was like, wow, yeah, she knows all this stuff. And then there was the intellect person, and then I'm also included in that. Talking about as much about myself over here as that person. But very skeptical and looking down upon this whole idea of mazars. And I understand where it's coming from. They don't have information, and all the more reason to motivate oneself to know about these, that one can answer effectively. And slowly, try to make the Ummah understand this lost treasure, which is a lot in this book, which I hope we can cover next month. And not in this lesson, on the next lessons, in the next bayans. But really, I really noticed this stark contrast where, on the one hand, you had the mind, and the other, the strong mind, but perhaps a bit hardened heart, and the other extent, a simple mind, but seem to have like a softened heart, right? And when I look at both, I'm going to be judgmental here, but I tilt towards the latter, right? That this person really knows, this person really understands. I mean, they're groping towards something that they don't fully understand, but they've crossed a certain threshold in which their mind is not a hindrance towards getting towards Allah, right? And yeah, that was another thing I really observed. Simple is sometimes very good, right? So anyhow, I just wanted to share some learnings from my travel. I highly recommend travel, guys, girls. You should travel and really make it a meaningful travel. Mix it up with going to religiously significant places, everything is significant religiously, right? Our deen is um, our way of life, and everything from these religious significant places to tarbiyah for our kids and supporting one's spouse and companion to taking one's extended family out, treating them, getting treated by them. Alhamdulillah, went to my brother-in-law's wife's place. They treated me so much ihtaram. Such good people. You want to sit more and more with them. Uh, Alhamdulillah, it's fantastic. So we have 5 minutes left, and I quickly want to cover the word within by Mufti Muhammad Shafi Rahmatullah, who was the Grand Mufti of Pakistan. So, and I think touches a little bit on what we are speaking about here. That we spoke last week about how the body is more than just a mass of flesh, right? There's a beating heart, physical heart, but then there's the ruh inside, right? And the spiritual heart, the soul, if you will, and how the link between them, while we don't know how the exact linked is, but it's critical that be established and that our spiritual heart have a hold over the physical heart or the physical body, nafs, for success in one's life, right? And often the soul, and what I saw around me a lot, and within myself also, the soul was a lot of people's souls are deadened, right? And this is where the mobile phone also comes in. It's this thing that really conspires to deaden your soul as much as possible by exposing you to the most McDonald's aspect of the world, right? So mentioned the Holy Quran. There is disease in their heart to the degree of infidelity and disobedience. So Allah further increase their malady. Right? So this is a sickness of one's soul that comes from being neglectful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being mindful of the world. Infidelity, polytheism, hypocrisy, jealousy, malice, pride, arrogance, greed, parsimony, love of fame, love of wealth, and so on and so forth are spiritual ailments. And again, not to keep harping on this point, the mobile phone is the perfect vehicle to bring all of these about, right? Infidelity, bad nazri, left, right, center in the mobile phone. Polytheism, thinking there's multiple things worthy of worship versus Allah. Hypocrisy, preaching to others while following something else, oneself. Jealousy, looking at social media, why does this person have so much and I don't? Malice, why does this person have so much and I don't? Pride, oh look how much I have, so much I have so much and this person doesn't. Arrogance, Sufism, what's that? Look at me, I have all this published stuff that you can access on my mobile phone. Greed, give me more. Love of fame, social media. So love of wealth, if you look at all these popular videos, a lot of them are just about how to get richer, right? So these are all ailments, maladies of the heart, and they're increasing more and more in this day and age, right? And we desperately need to cure these. If we are to be able to enjoy our vacations and to make it really meaningful, and then we have to cure our spiritual ailments. If we cure these spiritual ailments, then we will tend to think of doing mashwara. Sounds like a small thing. Even this small thing, when done with the niyat and Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do it, and one through one's guide cleanses one's heart, then the benefits of it are immense. I witnessed it myself. My family witnessed it myself, right? So just like our body, our physical body has ailments, and we cure it to exercise, eating well. Similarly, our spirit, our soul also needs. It's important to cure the ailments that are of the soul, right? And that comes to zikr and coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? By following the sunnah of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the laws laid down by Holy Quran. And look, again, its point is that the point of tasawwuf and curing one's spiritual ailments is that one's outward actions also benefit. One's actions attain their true abilities. Right? So I mentioned Mashura, for instance, but even one's namaz, one's hajj, one's travels, all those aspects really attain their goodness, their full goodness, the outward and the inward. And I have to say, so there's lots of this thing, good accessible text for it. And there was this one aspect which I really loved in this chapter, right? This idea to look at oneself rather than pointing out others' maladies. And Hazrat over here, Hazrat Mufti Usmani, Hazrat Muhammad Shafi Usmani, Rahmatullah, he was like, why should I talk about other people's maladies? I should talk about my profession's maladies, right? He was a religious scholar. And he was asking himself that how much of this is so that people, this getting on time, doing proper prayers, leading congregations, teaching people the deen, how much of that is because I do it for Allah, and how much of it is because if I don't do it, then people might look down upon me, or my desire for fame may lose, may be lost, right? So he was looking at himself. I found it really subhanAllah genuine, in that look at this grand personality, and he's so humble that he's sincerely looking at himself, rather than judging someone else, right? His own profession. And right, and he says over here, might it not be possible that our outward actions are not purely for Allah, that they are not related to God and the hereafter, but rather to our profession? That if we fail to be punctual in our prayers and other religious observances, or happen to penetrate any outward injunction of the holy law, we might lose our post as lecturer, mufti, imam, khatib, and so on. And this is why we avoid only such things which cannot be hidden under our rules and dogmas and the dignity of a profession, right? However, spiritual vices are easily screened by our outward appearances, which is why we deem them so trifling. This kind of thinking is the only reason why our educational and missionary efforts remain fruitless, rather than having become a source of contention, rather than their having becoming a source of contention and all kinds of tribulation. Right? I mean, well, our madarases are full, a lot of work happening in Deen, but it seems to not be making an impact, right? Is it maybe because the outward is there, but the inward, the sincerity, the intention is not over there? Hazrat goes on to close, final paragraph. History bears witness to the fact that only the educational, missionary, and reformatory efforts of such scholars had a lasting impact, whose hearts were full of piety, sincerity, and the fear of Allah. On the other hand, how many research scholars and investigators are there who have passed into oblivion? And who better to mention than our Prophet, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? I mean, I'm not even to say with sincerity with which how he felt not just for his ummah, but for even the zalim of his ummah, right? Even for the sinful and the tyrants of his ummah. He feels for them also. Even today, he is hayat. Sorry, I'm just crossing. I'm going to close this now. But so his Nabi Sallallahu sincerity. Incidentally, I also had this full debate about whether people are hayat in their grave right now or not. Lots to learn and lots to learn. So the example of Prophet Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the companions, the tabi'in, the tabi'in, how come is it that their efforts, just not just 3 generations, but those 3 generations have established the gold standard, that their spillover of their sincerity, their actions which were full of sincerity, are still beating hard even today, beating strong today, despite the best efforts of the world to consume it, right? So, just in closing, I would just want to share with you this travel I had last week, how it was a learning journey for me, and how I witnessed the world increasingly taking over, and how from without and from within, and how it is critical to and now it's taking over and causing maladies and causing one's spiritual heart to darken, and how it is so critical in this day and age, and with this constant attacks, this need to cure spiritual ailments. through finding a rightful shaykh who will put you in touch with, who will get you on the path towards Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so that you may imbibe it and get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm sorry I've gone 5 minutes over time. One should follow time punctually and religiously. Thank you for taking the time out. And inshallah, until next week, where we will go over the next chapters of Hazrat's book, The World Within. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.